All right, Chem 3, this is experiment 2, and we're going to be measuring the density of water. The first step is to measure the mass of an empty 100 ml beaker. And so we need to put that on our mass balance. Now, when we measure, we need to close all these windows because air can actually affect our mass measurement. We also need to have zeroed the balance, which I did before. And so now I can read the number off of the mass balance. I have to include every digit that the display shows me because they're all significant figures. Okay, so this is the mass we measured from the balance. It's 58.663 grams. And you need to write that down in your notebook or in your lab report. Okay, so we need to measure out 5 mils using a 10 mil graduated cylinder. Now, on this graduated cylinder, we have lines at every 0.1 milliliter. And so we're gonna need to measure to the hundredths place on this graduated cylinder because we always measure 1 decimal place past whatever the lines on the graduated cylinder are. Okay, so let's pour some water in and we're gonna try to do this very slowly. That is actually pretty much spot on. Now, when we're measuring, we want to measure from the very bottom of the meniscus. It's hard to see, but there's a little bit of a curvature of the water. We always want to measure from the very bottom of that line. And we might not get exactly 5 mils on here, and that's okay. We just need to accurately measure the exact volume we have on here. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I need to do it with my eye line at the level of the graduated cylinder. Okay, so our volume that I recorded off here is 5.02 milliliters, and this is what you need to record in your lab report. The next step is to pour our 5 milliliters from our graduated cylinder into our 100 ml beaker that we measured the mass of while it was empty. At this point, we can now measure the mass of the beaker and the 5 milliliters that we poured into it. So we're going to put it on the balance, close the window, and read the mass off the screen. So the mass on the screen is 63.448 grams, and you need to record that. All right, guys, so for trial 2, we already measured the empty beaker again, and we got the mass was 58.663 grams, which I believe was the same mass as we had for trial 1, which makes sense because it's an empty beaker, didn't change mass. Then we measured the volume of water and we got that it was exactly 5 mils, 5.00 milliliters. You have to include those zeros when you write down the number because of significant figures. And then our last measurement, we measured the mass of the water and the beaker and we got that it was 63.440 grams. Again, you gotta include that last zero there for sig fig purposes. Okay, so this finishes the density of water experiment part, and we'll see you in the video for the next density measurement of an unknown liquid.